Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mangesh Dashing and this is the third lecture on NMR spectroscopy. In this video, we will learn position of the NMR signals, that is shielding and de-shielding effect. Friends, up to now we have seen principle, introduction as well as how to calculate the number of peaks of the NMR spectrum that we have learned. In this lecture, we will learn about a position of signals where the different protons give the signal, where is the position of probable peaks into the spectrum. Friends, as we know that this is the PMR spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy. So whatever the radio frequency absorbed by the nucleus, absorbed by the proton get excited, flips their spin and goes to the higher energy level. So each type of protons absorbs different types of radio frequency and gives a different peaks. So the peaks are depends upon the peaks positions are depends upon the proton, whatever the energy, whatever the frequency required to excite this particular type of protons. Different types of protons gives the different types of signals. Friends, apart from these protons, some another factors also affecting the position of the signals. Friends, all these protons are not present single or naked into the molecule, into the organic molecules. So this protons is always associated with the electrons in a covalent bond formations with other atoms like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen in the form of carbon hydrogen bond, hydrogen oxygen bond, hydrogen nitrogen bond. The proton therefore always surrounded by the bonding electron pairs, sigma bonding electron pairs. And when the external magnetic field is applied to the proton, the circulating bonding electron pairs produces its own magnetic field, and this is known as diamagnetic field or induced magnetic field. So nucleus, protons are spinning around their own axis, and that's why they generate their magnetic field, right? So this whatever the spin quantum number is greater than 0, those nuclei are magnetic. But apart from that one, these electrons are revolving around the nucleus, revolving around the proton, and electrons are the negatively charged. So because of this revolving around the nucleus, this negative charge produces its own magnetic field. Although this amount of magnetic field is very small, but that generates that magnetic field, and this magnetic field is called as diamagnetic field or induced magnetic field. And this induced magnetic field is most of the times acts in a opposite direction to the applied magnetic field. In some of the cases, these two magnetic fields are in the same direction, but most of the times what will happen, whatever the induced magnetic field or diamagnetic field produced by the revolving electrons around the nucleus, the direction opposite to the direction to the applied magnetic field. The magnitude of induced magnetic field is given by the sigma h0, where sigma is called as shielding constant. As the induced magnetic field in opposite direction to the applied magnetic field, the magnetic field actually experienced by the nucleus, that is H effective, is less than H0, and that is given by the formula the H effective is equal to H0 minus sigma H0. So sigma is a small amount, that is a constant for shielding constant, that is for particular protons. H0, that is applied magnetic field, external magnetic field, that is strong magnetic field given to the protons to excite protons from lower energy state to higher energy state. But what will happen, because of this opposite direction of the induced magnetic field or diamagnetic field, the small amount of magnetic field that is compensated by the induced magnetic field or diamagnetic field produced by this revolving electrons or spinning electrons. For that excitations of that protons, we need to provide a more magnetic field. We have to apply the more magnetic field, and the induced magnetic field thus shields means protects the nucleus from external magnetic field in a small extent or some extent, and this phenomenon is known as shielding. So whatever this induced magnetic field or diamagnetic field produced by the revolving or spinning or spinning electrons around the nucleus that shields the nucleus from external magnetic field in a small extent, and this phenomenon is known as shielding. Now we'll see the shielding and de-shielding effect. So this is the nucleus, and these are the electrons revolving around that nucleus, and they produces their own magnetic field, that is induced magnetic field, in opposite direction to the external magnetic field. So in isolated atom there is no electrons, then whatever the B0 external magnetic field we provided, that much amount of magnetic field filled by this nucleus. But if electrons are there, they induced a magnetic field in opposite direction to the B0, so small amount of magnetic field compensated of this external magnetic field. So the induced field decreases the strength of magnetic field felt by this nucleus, and that's why this nucleus is called as shielded nucleus, and this effect is called as shielding effect. This effect is called as shielding effect. In a vicinity of the nucleus, the magnetic field generated by the circulating electron decreases the external magnetic field that the proton feels. Actually we are giving a B0 magnetic field, but actual that nucleus getting is B0 minus sigma B0, so less than whatever we have provided. It feels less. The induced magnetic field thus shields or protects the nucleus from the external magnetic field to some extent, and this phenomenon is called as shielding. So now the idea is clear from this diagram. The peaks moves towards the lower chemical shift, so the shielding shifts the absorption towards the off field. Off field because we require to provide a more magnetic field, because some of the magnetic field is compensated by the induced magnetic field. That's why the peaks, the absorption shifts towards the off field, higher magnetic field. That's why this is called as off field. We now we will see the de-shielding effect. What is de-shielding? The less shielded nucleus becomes the more of the applied magnetic field B0 it feels. So if proton is de-shielded or less shielded, then what will happen? If we are providing some amount of external magnetic field B0, but that nucleus is not shielded, it's a de-shielded, then what will happen? If we are providing a less one also, then also that proton it feels a more. So this de-shielded nucleus experiences a lower magnetic field strength, so it needs a higher frequency to achieve the resonance. So it requires a lower magnetic field to achieve the resonance and higher frequency. The higher frequency is to the left into the NMR spectrum towards the higher chemical shift. So higher frequency, higher chemical shift, but low field. So the de-shielding shifts the absorption towards the down field, because magnetic field required is small, because that nucleus is de-shielded, it's less shielded, so magnetic field required is less. That's why the de-shielding shifts an absorption towards the down field, towards the left hand side, because from left to right we are increasing the magnetic field. So if shielded protons are there, then peak shifts towards the right hand side, high magnetic field, off field. But if de-shielded protons are there, then they absorbs at low field, down field, towards the left hand side. Protons near electronegative atoms are de-shielded, so they absorbs a down field. Protons near the electronegative atoms are de-shielded, and so they absorbs a down field. De-shielded protons, any group that will decrease the electron density around the proton will decrease the shielding. That is cause of de-shielding, and hence the absorption will take place at lower magnetic field, that is down field. Thus electron density around the proton increases, the shielding also increases, and the absorption occurs at high field, up field, and as the electron density around the proton decreases, shielding will decreases. As the electron density around the proton decreases, de-shielding will increase, and the absorption occurs at low field. So any groups or group of atoms into the molecule exerts some plus I effect or plus R effect, then those effects increases the electron density around that proton. So the shielding will be there. Because of electrons are increases, then the quantity of induced magnetic field is also increases. Induced magnetic field also increases. There will be shifting of peaks towards the up field. We require a high field to excite these protons from lower energy level to the higher energy level. But these protons are surrounded with minus I effect or minus R effect. So these groups or atoms we're showing this minus I or minus R effect, those decreases the electron density around that nucleus. So because of that one, the induced magnetic field of the electrons is also decreases. Then what will happen? That proton feels a de-shielded proton, and then it requires a lower magnetic field for the excitation, for the transmission of that proton from lower energy level to higher energy level. So those protons absorbs a magnetic field at lower side towards the left hand side, and they gives a peak towards the lower side. So that is called as low field, down field effect. How the chemical shift is affected by this electron density around the nucleus. Now we will learn that one. For example, the shielding effect. The electron shields a nucleus, because as the electron density is high, then what will happen? They induced a high magnetic field, and because of that one, we required a magnetic field more to excite that nucleus. So what will happen? Proton plus electron, then this field, that is called as shielding effect. So this proton fields are shielded by these electrons, so it requires a higher magnetic field. That's why this peaks moves towards the up field, towards the right hand side. Proton plus electron towards the right hand side, that is called as upfield effect, and this is called as shielding effect. The shielding effect is because of those protons are surrounded by the more number of electrons, more quantity of induced magnetic field, then the absorption shifts towards the up field. While in de-shielding, what will happen? It decreases the density of the electrons around the nucleus, because there is an electronegative atom. So minus I effect or minus R effect. So what will happen? The peak shifts towards the left hand side. Left hand side, the magnetic field is small. It requires a small magnetic field to excite. Right. So this is called as de-shielding, because there are less number of electrons. Electron density is less around that protons. So there will be de-shielding. This electron shields that proton. But if electron density is less, then that is called as de-shielding effect, and that absorption shifts towards the downfield, towards the left hand side. So this is called as de-shielding effect. So proton absorbs at a downfield. So shielding, peak shifts towards the right hand side. De-shielding, peak shifts towards the left hand side. Left hand side downfield, right hand side upfield. So in this way, shielding and de-shielding shifts the peaks towards the left hand side as well as right hand side. That depends upon the shielding effect or de-shielding effect. That depends upon the electron density around the proton. If electron density around the proton is high, then that peak shifts towards the upfield, gives peak towards the right hand side. But if those protons are de-shielded, then peak shifts towards the downfield, left hand side. So this is the brief idea of de-shielding effect as well as shielding effect. Now we'll see some examples. For example, ethyl chloride. So in this case, there are two types of protons. You will get two peaks, that is one peak for Ha, one peak for Hb. Now in this case, you can see that the chlorine is attached to this carbon, which are having Hb protons. So chlorine is having a minus I effect. So because of this minus I effect, electron density is more to the chlorine atom rather than the proton. So the Hb protons are de-shielded because they are closer to the electronegative atom. So they absorbs at downfield from the Ha towards the left hand side in a spectrum. While methyl, that is Ha protons, are towards the right hand side as compared to the Hb. Suppose second example, that is BrH2 H2F, that is bromofluoroethane. Now in this case also there are two types of protons, Ha and Hb. It will give you two peaks into the spectrum. But fluorine is more electronegative than bromine. So because of fluorine is more electronegative than bromine, then Hb protons are more de-shielded rather than the Ha. So Hb absorbs at downfield than Ha. Third example, that is trichloroethane. 1,1,2 trichloroethane. In this case, this proton, this carbon is attached to the two electronegative atom, while this carbon is attached to the only one electronegative atom. So minus I effect to this Hb is more. So these Hb protons are more de-shielded, as the larger number of electronegative atoms, that is chlorine atoms, de-shields Hb proton more than the Ha. So Hb protons absorbs more downfield than the Ha. So if electronegative atoms are there, electronegative effect are there, electron withdrawing inductive effect, electron withdrawing resonance effect are there, then those protons are absorbed at downfield towards the left hand side. If there is no such effect, or if there is a plus I effect or plus R effect, then those protons moves towards the off field, towards the right hand side. The position of the peaks in PMR will therefore be dependent on the chemical environment of that protons, electronic environment of that protons. Shielded protons have off-field peaks, while de-shielded protons have a downward peak. De-shielded means minus I minus R. Shielded means plus R plus I. So this you have to remember. Shielded means electrons, proton plus electron. De-shielded means proton minus electron. Right? Now we will see the formula for measurement of chemical shift, or what is chemical shift. The absolute peak position cannot be determined accurately because different types of protons absorbs a different types of magnetic field frequency and gives the different types of protons, and positions are different. But the difference in magnetic field absorbed by the different types of protons, or difference in the frequency absorbed by the different types of protons, this difference is very small as compared to whatever the applied magnetic field, like 14,000 Gauss or 100 megahertz frequency. So whatever the frequency absorbed by the nucleus is around, it's very small as compared to the applied one. So the difference between different protons absorption is very small. So we cannot measure the absolute peak position. However, the relative peak positions can be measured with the required accuracy by comparing the magnetic field of the given proton with that of some proton chosen as a standard. Absolute peak position spectrum मध्ये कॅल्क्युलेट करणं फार अवघड असतं, मुश्किल असतं. वाय? बिकॉज मॅग्नेटिक फील्ड आपण किती अप्लाय करतो, 14,000 Gauss around, and whatever the difference in different protons absorption magnetic field, that is around 0.2 to 0.3 Gauss. So as compared to 14,000 Gauss, this difference into different types of protons is very small. So we cannot differentiate these protons absolutely. But however, if you are using some standard material, as compared to that standard material, the position of that peak, that will be very easy to understand, very easy to determine. So that is called as relative peak position, relative to the standard material, some standard substance. So we have to choose that standard. The choice of standard or reference that depends upon some points, some factors. Even though several compounds are used as a standard or reference compound, the tetramethylsilane is found to be best of them. So TMS, that is tetramethylsilane, is used as a standard and that is the best one. Some of the criteria we will learn for that one. So this is the structure of TMS, tetramethylsilane. It fulfills all the necessary criteria for the good reference compound. So which are those criteria? It produces one sharp signal correspond to 12 hydrogen atoms. So all these 12 hydrogen atoms are equivalent. It gives only one peak. That is also for the 12 hydrogens. So the peak height will be very sharp and single. The sharp signal correspond to these all 12 hydrogen atoms produces into the small, into the spectrum. So we can locate the TMS very easily. The peak due to TMS is the highest magnetic field. The peak due to TMS is at the highest magnetic field. Almost all non-organic protons absorbs at a field less than this TMS. So all these 12 protons are highly shielded one. Highly shielded. So this 12 protons gives a sharp signal towards the right hand side. Highly right hand side. Almost all the organic compounds are absorbed a downfield as compared to this TMS. So we can easily locate the position of this TMS. And we can easily find out the relative peak positions of the compound protons. It itself is very good solvent. The TMS is very good solvent and it miscible with many organic solvents used to dissolve to give a sample. So for sample making we have to dissolve that organic compounds into particular solvent. And this TMS is very soluble in all the organic solvents. So whatever we are going to use the solvent for the substance, the TMS also we can use along with that, because TMS has a high solubility. It is highly volatile also. The boiling point is around 27 degrees Celsius and hence it quickly evaporated at room temperature, and the sample can be recovered 100%. So it can be removed by the evaporation from the sample. So sample will be again free from this TMS, pure form. We can remove the solvent, we can remove the TMS also. So we are getting a substance back in a pure form at the end of analysis. It is used as an internal standard. That is, the sample solution and TMS are mixed together. Due to this, the magnetic field experienced by the sample protons and the reference protons, that is TMS, is one and the same. So this TMS is used as an internal standard. So while making the solution of substance plus solvent, we can add this TMS into that one. So what will happen? Whatever the magnetic field filled by this tetramethylsilane as well as the protons of the substance, they feel the same magnetic field. Nowadays, solvents with TMS are available into the market. So we don't need to add external TMS. Solvent actually TMS add करून आपल्याला मिळतं. That solvent is specially for the NMR spectroscopy. The solvents are like CDCl3, DMSO, deuterated methanol, likewise. So in this way, we have to use the internal standard, that's tetramethylsilane, and these are the particular qualities of the tetramethylsilane makes a best standard or reference solution for the NMR spectroscopy, so that we can measure the exact relative peak positions of the protons in spectrum. Now, how to calculate the chemical shift and what is the chemical shift? The separation between peak positions of the sample protons with respect to TMS proton is known as chemical shift. Now, the separation means the relative peak positions of the proton sample protons with respect to TMS, that is called as chemical shift, and that is calculated by the formula, the chemical shift that showed with the symbol delta. Chemical shift delta is equal to frequency of the sample minus frequency of the TMS divided by frequency of the instrument into 10 raised to 6. The chemical shift delta is a dimensionless and it is expressed in parts per million. The chemical shift of TMS itself is a 0 ppm. It's a standard one, so itself considered as a 0. So delta values increase from right to left, whereas the magnetic field or frequency increases from the left to right. Magnetic field is increasing from the left to right, while delta, that is chemical shift, is increases from right to left. The shielded proton absorbs towards the upfield higher field, therefore they will have a lower delta value, because chemical shifts are increasing from right to left. If peaks are on the right hand side upfield, then the chemical shift will be lower values. Deshielded proton absorbs at lower field, downfield, and therefore they will have a higher delta value, higher chemical shifts. Thus, the shielding increases, delta value decreases, and as the deshielding increases, delta value increases. This is the main things to be remembered. Shielding decreases the delta value and deshielding increases the delta value. Now we'll see one problem. When a PMR spectrum of the chloroform with TMS as an internal reference, internal standard, was recorded with 60 MHz instrument, a peak was obtained as 437 Hz. But when the same spectrum was recorded with 100 MHz, the peak was obtained 728 Hz. Now calculate the chemical shift for the proton of chloroform. Now we will calculate the chemical shift of the chloroform if we are using a 60 MHz instrument. Now the formula for chemical shift is equal to frequency of the sample minus frequency by the TMS divided by frequency of the instrument into 10 raised to 6. So sample absorbs at 437 Hz minus frequency of TMS, that is 0, divided by 60 into 10 raised to 6 Hz, because 60 MHz is equal to 10 raised to 6 Hz. That's why we are writing 60 into 10 raised to 6 Hz. So what will happen? The answer will be 7.28 ppm. Delta is equal to 7.28 ppm. If we are using a 100 MHz machine, then the formula is same, that is frequency by the sample minus frequency absorbed by the TMS divided by the frequency of the instrument into 10 raised to 6. Now at 100 MHz instrument, proton absorbs at 728 Hz minus frequency of TMS, that is 0, divided by 100 into 10 raised to 6 Hz. So the answer will be 7.28 ppm again. So what is the conclusion? This shows that delta values are independent of the instrument used. So if you are using 60 MHz or 100 MHz or 900 MHz, the delta value of the protons will not going to change. That is constant, that is independent on the instrument. If the instrument is changed, the relative peak position are changed, but delta, that is chemical values, are not changed. जरी आपण वेगवेगळ्या फ्रिक्वेन्सीचे NMR स्पेक्ट्रम इन्स्ट्रुमेंट वापरले तरी केमिकल शिफ्ट चेंज होत नाही. ॲब्झॉर्प्शन फ्रिक्वेन्सी मे गेट चेंज, but the chemical shift is not going to change. Chemical shifts are constant. Chemical shifts are independent on the instrument used. NMR absorption generally appears as a sharp peaks. So sharp signals we will get as compared to UV or visible spectroscopy. Just now, just in last lectures we have seen a UV spectrum. So it gives a broad peaks. Broadening of the peaks is larger. But NMR absorption generally gives a sharp peaks. So that will be easier for understanding. Increasing chemical shift is plotted from right to left. So from right to left, the chemical shifts values are increasing. So starting with TMS, that is 0 to 10. So most of the proton absorbs between 0 to 10 ppm. Some of the protons, rarely, those goes beyond the 10 or comes below to the 0 also. But most of the protons, most of the organic compounds absorbs between 0 to 10 ppm only. The term upfield and downfield describes the relative locations of the peaks. Upfield means towards the right hand side. Downfield means towards the left hand side. Because field, that is magnetic field, increasing from the left to right. That's why left hand side downfield, right hand side upfield. But our chemical shifts are increasing from right to left. NMR absorptions are measured relative to the position of reference peak at 0 ppm on the delta scale due to the tetramethylsilane, that is TMS. So this TMS is volatile inert compound that gives a single sharp peak for the 12 hydrogens upfield from the typical NMR absorption. So TMS absorbs towards the upfield, while all the organic compounds, all the organic compounds are absorbed towards the downfield as compared to the TMS. An NMR spectrum is a plot of intensity of the peak against the chemical shift measured in parts per million. So this is the plot of intensity versus ppm, that is the chemical shifts. For example, this is the molecule, that is tertiary butyl methyl ether. So in this case there are two types of protons. This methyl is one type of proton and these three methyls are one type of proton. So it will give us two signals into the NMR spectrum. So see the NMR spectrum. So this NMR spectrum, this is the downfield towards the left hand side, while this is the upfield towards the right hand side. So towards the right hand side, the extreme is a TMS, that is acts as a reference. That's why the delta value for this TMS is considered as a 0. And from this 0, the chemical shift increasing from right to left. Most of the graphs we have seen that those moves from up to right, increasing from up to right. But in this case, the TMS, the reference, is towards the right hand side. That's why scale starts from the right hand side towards the left hand side. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. So if downfield protons are there, then they have higher chemical values, higher chemical shifts. But if they are upfield protons toward the right hand side, then those are having lower chemical shifts. So shielded protons having a lower chemical shift, while deshielded protons having a higher chemical shifts. Now in this case, this protons, this carbon is directly attached to the oxygen having a minus I effect. So these protons shifts towards the deshielded, towards the downfield. So it will have a higher delta value, higher chemical shift than this 9 protons. So see here, this CH3O that absorbs towards the downfield, towards the left hand side. So chemical shift will be higher, that is 3.2. While this CH3 are not directly attached to the oxygen, those are attached to the carbon, right? So there will be not much minus I effect. So these are the shielded proton as compared to this one. So if they are shielded protons, those peaks shifts towards the right hand side. So this is the right hand side, upfield. So for the upfield protons, shielded protons, the chemical shifts are smaller as compared to the deshielded protons or upfield protons. So this is the informations we are getting from the NMR spectrum. If there are minus I effect or minus R effect, then chemical shift will be higher. If there are plus I effect or plus R effect, then chemical shifts are lower. Now chemical shifts that we are going to learn in next lecture. Thank you friends.